what has been your reaction to what has transpired in the last 24 hours? The ceasefire, the Chinese support, and this barrage of misinformation coming in from Pakistan declaring victory, against India. This is obviously completely fabricated. It has been taken out of context. From what we understand, that after the destruction of the Noor Khan Air Base, which is pretty close to the nuclear arsenal that Pakistan has been saving for India for so long, there was panic in the Pakistani army, because that was a message. Sumit, that was a signal that if we can get so close, then your nuclear arsenals are not that far away. And that is when Asim Munir dialed Marco Rubio and pleaded that please ask India to dial down, otherwise we will have no choice but to go nuclear. What do you make of what's happened here? And China once again coming to support its old ally. And remember, folks, that Pakistan is only being supported by China because it's a client state, and that CPEC is not possible without Pakistan's help towards China. But the fact of the matter is also, Sumit, I'm sorry I'm dropping a barrage of bombs as questions on you. It's also important to understand that there is a paradigm shift in India's doctrine when it comes to dealing with Pakistan and terrorism. But India has also found out through this exercise where we stand in terms of our relationship with the United States, our relationship with the Chinese, our relationship with Russia, and our relationship with Turkey. It's a very important eye-opener.
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. As usual, it's a beautiful question. It doesn't matter how long or short it is. The contents have to be very important. Thanks for that. Vinny, when we look at this ceasefire, I think there are a couple of things. If we start with look, 80%, I'm telling you on record, 81% of the Chinese exports are to one country. That is called Islamic Republic of Peshawar, Pakistan. So that is where they go. Another 20% go to Bangladesh, and there are countries which might try to buy here and there. China has been trying to create a facade, a gizmo. Look, my things are important. They're trying to pitch the whole world. Look, they lost a J20 deal to Saudis. Turkey is not buying from them. Egypt is not buying from them. So all their major deals with China has been tom-tomming about. They've lost all the deals. 81, 1 and 20. This is what the division is. Now, if you talk of HQ-9, HQ-9 has a range of 120 kilometers. HQ-9B has a range of what China claims to be 300 kilometers. Even Chinese gave them PL-15. We have found intact PL-15s. They say PL-15 goes at Mark 5, solid propellant-based, two propulsion systems, and it's the best, beyond visual range missile with EVV radar. But they have felt here and they have not been able to do anything. So if you look at this HQ-9, first of all, what is HQ-9? HQ-9 is a jugaadbazi, thok-peet ke banaya from a S-300. When Putin was asked around 10 years back that China wants S-400, he said, I will not sell it to China. Why? Because Chinese was reverse engineer and tried to make some gizmo out of it. So then they decided, okay, let's sell S-300 to them. S-300, if you look at it, it doesn't have the jewel in the crown. That is the rocket which intercepts more than 450 kilometers. And the radars are not so good. So Putin decided to sell S-300 to him. What did they do? Try to reverse engineer it. And they made HQ-9 and HQ-10, HQ-9B and HQ-10 out of it. So Pakistan has HQ-9, they have HQ-10, they have HQ-16, and they have FM-50. These are the 4 missile shields they have. And the problem with them is, a copy is not as good as the actuals. No, China still doesn't have S-400 because Putin decided not to sell them. When they sold them S-300, by the time ye jugaad karenge, we'll be at S-500 or S-800. So this will be useless. So Putin was right there when he did that. Now, in today's time, when you are having these Chinese gizmos and they're poorly maintained, the radars are not good, then there's a Pakistani jugaad, some contractor would have made money, there would not be line of sight of the radar, which will be very clear. These are some technical issues I'm trying to bring to the fold. Now, what happened? The speed of missiles has increased. The potency of the missiles has increased. We're talking of the hypersonic warfare today. And when you talk of these HQ-9s and all, they're outdated Chinese junk, which is dumped in Pakistan. Even a lot of their outdated stuff which Chinese army wants to get rid of, they give it to Pakistan. Some new gizmos, they give it to Pakistan so that they can get a field trial done. And if you have a customer who is ready to do field trial of your gizmos and your toys and also pay you for that, well, mashallah, that is what Pakistan is. And even if you look at the PL-15, there was a lot of cry about PL-15, but PL-15 was again a dud. And if you go back to Iran, all these Chinese gizmos were also in Iran. When the Israelis came, when the Americans came, 110 F-35s enter and move out of the area, could Iran shoot anyone? Could Iran even fire anything? Exactly that happened in Pakistan. You know, our Heron drone, which is made by Adani Ammunition, it's an Israeli drone. It went there. It did what it had to do. We all know the specs. I'm not going to get into it. It just has 16 kilos of payload. 16 kilos of payload could detonate them, and they could not do anything about it. They could not even try to intercept it. So that is what the story of HQ-9 is. Now, if you look at this, Pakistan was rattled because when we kind of hit on the backside of their GHQ Rawalpindi, Noor Khan Air Base, Vineet ji, is part of GHQ Rawalpindi. It is inside Rawalpindi garrison. If you could hit the Noor Khan Air Base, the message was very clear to Munir, we can take down your Rawalpindi. After that, they panicked. They called Americans, and not even they. Saudis called, Kuwaitis called, all the Islamic countries reached out to Trump and tried to, bhaiya, hamare chote bhai Pakistan ko bacha lo. If I can be as clear and as candid, because Americans have met, there were other friendly countries who called up. They tried their pressure with Prime Minister Modi. It did not work. They went to Trump. And of course, Modi must have spoken about, oh, nuclear. We are just moving the nukes and all that. So Americans intervened. Ceasefire lasted for 4 hours. World's shortest ceasefire. At 9 o'clock, we're again doing what we're doing. By 11 o'clock, there's a press briefing which says Operation Sindoor continues. So if there's a briefing at 11:19 p.m. yesterday night, Operation Sindoor continues. So where is the ceasefire? Ceasefire doesn't exist. So people in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and all these Islamic republics, including Turkey or whatever, who put pressure on Trump and wanted him to stop this war, and including Donald Trump, they have lost their goodwill. Pakistani screwed them in 4 hours. That is what it has done. So, apni औकात में आ गए 4 घंटे पे. Now, there are good reasons for Bharat not to trust that. And the best thing is that Americans were also happy to let this war happen because they really wanted to tie on the field. If a Rafale goes, if a Sukhoi Su-29, Su-31 goes, how effective is HQ-9? If a Heron drone goes, how effective is HQ-9? They found that HQ-19, they are useless. Here, there was a F-35, right? F-35 is still a higher potent machine. And even with the, Su-31s, and maybe we have even sent Mirages, I don't know what went in, they could not do anything. So now Americans conclude, this is the defense of, Iran. This is the defense of Pakistan. Chinese toys are good for show. There's a red garrison in, Beijing. Whenever you see Xi Jinping taking salami, there's a red garrison which is paraded. Usko parade regiment कहते हैं वहाँ पे. They are used only for parades and show, tom-tomming. So there's a tom-tom regiment which Xi Jinping always commands and talks about. Chinese got whacked in Vietnam, Vineet, 43 years back. They could not win Vietnam. They have not fought any war. All these jugaadbazis which they were reverse engineering and all, they're as good as nothing. And if you look at J-10, it's a chori ki copy of MiG-21. MiG-21 is outdated. You can imagine J-10. Likewise, they have 17. I call it junk fighter under 18. If you go by logic, we have already put down a couple of them. ISP acknowledges 2 or 3 of them. So we were told GF-17 Block 3 will PL-15 is a game changer. Your Rafale is in danger. I said, BS. It's not going to happen because we know तुम्हारी औकात कितनी है. And what happened? Chinese machinery and Pakistan's army की औकात हमने 2 दिन में गिना दी, Vineet. We could show them their, औकात in 2 days. And after that, Munir got rattled, the ceasefire and all that. But after this, and on the political part of it, our options are open. Donald Trump can do whatever he feels. He cannot dictate terms to India. Marco Rubio cannot dictate terms to India. If somebody has egg on face because of Pakistan, is Rubio and Donald Trump. Because their trust has been misled by Pakistanis, which is very natural of Pakistanis to do. And Chinese gizmos, Chinese toys are off. So that's why nobody is interested in let's say you take a J-35, you take J-35E. Even Chinese army doesn't use J-35 or J-35E, which they were trying to sell to Saudis at almost half the price of F-35 and कि 10 साल में पैसे दे देना. 10 साल का maintenance included. You can imagine the plight. Whatever happened is good. Chinese toys are out of the game. So I think our threat vis-a-vis China is a little bit reduced after this practical exercise.
All right, General Mesto, has our threat reduced? Has India, realized